In the unfolding of history from a Christian perspective, it is important to remember there is a scheduled timeline of events, and throughout this timeline, time and time again a man appears, a man shrouded in mystery, a man shrouded in darkness, the man of sin, the man of lawlessness, the first beast, the man of sin. As we live our lives each day and the end of days, it becomes increasingly more evident that we are not merely passive spectators but active participants in a narrative of epic proportions. We are living in the last days the Bible warned us about. We are living in the last days the Bible speaks of. The notion that the world is at a crossroads is not cliché, it's a stark reality for those who see the world through the lens of the Bible. The clock of history is not just ticking, it is pulsating with the heartbeat of prophetic fulfillment. Every tick, every tock is a step closer to the arrival of a denouement scripted by the divine. We are not talking tonight of an airy-fairy invention. We are talking about the ticking of the clock and the turning of the calendar and the passing of the years, which is inexorably, unceasingly, unstoppably moving to the arrival of this man of sin, the first beast, the lawless one, the son of perdition, the wicked one, the Antichrist himself. In the midst of this grand narrative, we find ourselves grappling with a topic of unsettling gravity. What the Antichrist will do in 2024 is shocking. The title itself might jolt the senses, but it is a clarion call for introspection and vigilance. It is a call for Christians all around the world to be alert, a call for Christians to be sober and to be vigilant. Today's sermon serves a dual purpose: firstly, to alert you to the very real presence of the Antichrist spirit in our world, and secondly, to illuminate how this spirit is preparing the stage for potentially startling events in 2024. We stand at a pivotal point in history where darkness and deception are escalating. The Apostle John in his epistles provides a biblical basis for our discussion. He states in 1 John 4 verse 3, "Every spirit that does not acknowledge Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist." This verse underscores a critical truth: the Antichrist spirit is not a future threat alone, but a current reality actively influencing our societies, media, and even local communities. It's important to recognize that the Antichrist's emergence as a man will be preceded by his spirit's pervasive influence in our world. In 1 John 2 verse 18, John warns, "This is the last hour, and as you have heard that the Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have come." This urgency compels us to acknowledge our place in these prophetic times. Understanding the Antichrist spirit allows us to identify its manifestations, rather than focusing solely on the individual. Observing the rise in lawlessness, moral decay, and deception helps us discern the signs of our age, emphasizing the need for vigilance and spiritual discernment in these critical times. What will the Antichrist spirit do in 2024? In essence, what the Antichrist spirit will do in 2024 is a continuation of what it has been doing since the beginning of the last hour that the Apostle John speaks of. It is a continuation. The first topic we will look at today is not exactly something the Antichrist will do, it is more something that we as believers should look out for: the role of political unrest in fulfilling prophecy. The current global landscape, marked by significant political tensions and unrest, is not merely a coincidence but a crucial piece in the prophetic puzzle. This climate of instability and disorder sets the stage for the emergence of the Antichrist. Leading up to the arrival of the Antichrist, the world will be in a state very similar to today, a divided world, a lot like the world we see today. The world in its current state is crying out for peace, a deep, resounding yearning that echoes across nations riven by conflict and division. This universal cry is for peace. The conditions we are witnessing are precisely the condition that could pave the way for the Antichrist, prophesied to rise as a beacon of false peace. In the Bible, Daniel 8 verse 25 foretells, "And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand." This passage vividly depicts the Antichrist's deceptive nature, using peace as a guise for his true intentions. Another Bible verse that supports the claim the Antichrist will arrive as a figure who initially appears as a bringer of peace is found in 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 3, "For when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." In 1 Thessalonians 5, Paul delves into the concept of the day of the Lord, a term that biblically signifies the time when God will execute judgment upon an unbelieving world. This pivotal event follows the rapture, a moment described in 1 Thessalonians 4 verses 15 to 17, where all Christians are taken up bodily by Christ, leaving the earth behind. The onset of the day of the Lord will be unexpected for those who do not believe. They will perceive the world as being in a state of peace and security, but this tranquility will be abruptly shattered, akin to how labor pains suddenly seize a pregnant woman. During the early stages of the tribulation, a period of trials and tribulation following the rapture, unbelievers will be lulled into a deceptive sense of peace and safety. However, this period of calm will prove to be fleeting and misleading. In Daniel 9 verse 27, Scripture speaks of a peace treaty, indicating an agreement that will be forged by the Antichrist and then broken midway through the tribulation period. This aligns with the biblical narrative that Israel will experience a sense of security and peace at the onset of the day of the Lord. However, this period of tranquility will be disrupted as the events of the tribulation unfold, revealing the temporary and deceptive nature of this peace agreement. The Antichrist's ascent to power will be marked by his portrayal as a man of peace, a charismatic leader emerging from the chaos of global unrest. He will offer solutions to the world's myriad problems, seducing many with promises of stability and harmony. What is the one thing the world is crying for right now? That is peace. I am not saying for one moment the Antichrist is coming in 2024. The truth is, I do not know when he will come. However, my point is simple, to urge you to look at the world's desperate need and calls for peace and also look at the Bible's description of how the Antichrist will rise as a man of peace. And I sometimes wonder at how the Antichrist will unite the world into peace and unite the world in accepting him alone as its leader. The fact that the world will unite under the leadership of this one man should show you several things, one of which is the level of deception and the sheer power of the Antichrist's deception. When in history has all of mankind listened and obeyed the rule of one man? When in history has the world come together in peace under the rule of one man? When in history has the world viewed one man as God? When in history have people put aside their social, political ideologies to follow one man? When in history has all of mankind put their religious beliefs aside to worship one man? When in history has the entire world been required to bear a mark or symbol as a means of allegiance to a single leader? When in history has there been a global economic system so tightly controlled that buying and selling are impossible without allegiance to one ruler? When in history has a leader been able to perform miraculous signs and wonders on such a scale that they deceive nations? When in history has a single political figure managed to broker peace in the Middle East, particularly between Israel and its neighbors? When in history has a leader risen with such charisma and authority that their rule is accepted across diverse and often conflicting cultural boundaries? The Bible tells us when in history this takes place, and that is in Revelation 13. We grossly underestimate the pure and sheer supernatural deception that will occur during the rise of the Antichrist. What he will do is nothing short of supernatural. It will not be a natural accomplishment, but we know that he will not naturally accomplish this, for we know he is given his power by the dragon, and he is energized by the very gates of hell itself. As prophesied in 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 3, for when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. The false security offered by the Antichrist will ultimately lead to greater destruction, as his reign will be characterized by oppression and deceit. The second element you need to look out for is the eyes of the beast. Now, when I state the eyes of the beast, I am referring to global surveillance and control of the Antichrist. The rapid advancement of technology, especially in fields like artificial intelligence, AI, facial recognition, and global tracking systems, is reshaping the world in profound ways. While these technologies hold the promise of innovation and efficiency, they also present potential tools for control and surveillance that could be